والذين لا يشهدون الزور وإذا مروا باللغو مروا كراما والذين إذا ذكروا بآيات
Here is the statement. Hamas has rejected allegations that it committed crimes against women and children. This is the quote, "Some Western media outlets continue to spread Zionist slander and lies about our Palestinian people and their resistance, which falsely and slanderously promoted allegations that members of the Palestinian resistance beheaded children and assaulted women without any evidence to support their lies and claims. Hamas strongly condemns the baseless allegations." Here is
Hamas is beheading babies. That is a fake story designed to elicit the response you're giving it now. Write out the CIA playbook and you are falling for it. Even the Israeli Defense Forces, which originated the claim, had to walk it back. But why would they lie about that? So they can, with impunity, say and do things like this.
We have ordered a complete siege on the Gaza Strip. There will be no electricity, no food, no fuel. Everything is closed. We are fighting human animals, and we will act accordingly.
But Hamas women. There's no proof of that either. At some point, you have to begin to ask yourself, how credible is the information that I'm receiving from Fox News and other mainstream media outlets? This is right out the CIA playbook. You have to remember that in addition to being an actual war, this is a war of information, and one side controls the narrative completely. The apartheid regime of the Israeli government, which controls all the mass media outlets and is funded and backed by the United States government, the only imperial terrorist superpower in the world. All this stuff is right out the CIA playbook. For instance, here's former CIA agent John Stockwell talking about the CIA disinformation campaign that was conducted over the entire globe.
And we pumped just dozens of stories about Cuban atrocities, Cuban rapists. These were fake photos? Oh, absolutely. We didn't know of one single atrocity committed by the Cubans. It was pure, raw, false propaganda to create an illusion of communists, eating babies for breakfast and that sort of totally false propaganda.
The strategy is pretty clear. When you want to sanction state terror and violence, just invoke dead babies. Hamas is
Why is it a problem? It's only a problem when Israelis die. Why is it not a problem when Palestinians die? Tell me why. The media only mentions the deaths of the Israelis. They don't want to mention the deaths of the Palestinians. Why? Why? I'm so disgusted. It's only a problem what Hamas is doing, but it's not a problem what the IDF is doing and the Israeli settlers. They're colonizing. They're colonizing land. They're taking over land. They're killing kids. And then it's so funny when the media is like, oh, here they're killing women and children, etc., etc. Israel's been doing that for decades, bro. Why is it only a problem when Hamas tries to come back?
أنا خلاص هذا الموضوع أخذ من وقتي، أخذ من همي، أخذ من راحتي، دخل مخي، خرب مزاجي. أنا خلاص هذا الموضوع أخذ من وقتي، أخذ من همي، أخذ من راحتي، دخل مخي، خرب مزاجي.
What is happening in Palestine is not an unprovoked attack. Do not let the mainstream media persuade you that this is a unprovoked attack. It is an entirely provoked attack. The Palestinian people have been under a 75-year brutal occupation at the hands of their Israeli colonists and occupiers. Remember, only 2 days ago, hundreds of Israeli fanatics marched from their illegal settlements, which have been built on ethnically cleansed Palestinian land, into the West Bank town of Hawara, terrorised residents, shot indiscriminately at civilians, killing a 19-year-old teenager by shooting him directly in the chest. 75 years of brutal occupation, of humiliation, of Gaza being bombed every 3 years, seeing hundreds of Palestinian children being slaughtered by Israeli arms, seeing hospital bombs, journalist offices bombed, mosques bombed, highly packed civilian areas being deliberately targeted by Israeli drones and high precision weapons which deliberately target Palestinian people. Remember, people, the Palestinian people have a right in international law to defend themselves against their occupation, against their occupiers, and yet when the mainstream media report on Palestine's legal right to resist their occupiers and their brutal occupation, their resistance is demonised as terrorism. And meanwhile, the Israeli occupation continue to storm West Bank villages and towns every single weekend, slaughtering people in Jenin. Every weekend, more than 10 people Palestinians in Jenin have been slaughtered at the hands of Israeli fanatics and Israeli defence forces. Teenagers are consistently being shot in Jerusalem. I reported this on my previous video. Only a few weeks ago, a 15-year-old boy was leaving his grandfather's house and he was shot directly in the abdomen by an Israeli fanatic, by a lunatic. Al-Aqsa Mosque is constantly being encroached upon by Israeli fanatics and settlers. You know, the Palestinian people have led 75 years of humiliation, of illegal checkpoints where they are forced to wait for 9 hours a night just to get to the other side so they can go to work and make a living for their families. The Palestinian people haven't just endured this in the last 24 hours. They didn't just suddenly decide to attack, you know, the illegal Israeli settlements on ethnically cleansed Palestinian land. They have been pushed to this, and international law should be protecting them. They need support right now. They are fighting against their occupiers, against their brutalizers, against their murderers, against Israeli snipers which deliberately slaughter Palestinian children in the night. They blindfold and terrorise Palestinian children in the middle of the night as a way to ensure that Palestinian residents are docile and comply with their occupation. This is not something that happened overnight. This has been building up. And remember, the Palestinian people have a right to defend themselves, just as the Ukrainians have a right to defend their land against the Russians. This is not demonised. And yet, although it is not demonised in the mainstream media, when the Palestinians do the same, they are labelled the terrorists. The Palestinian people have no army, have no guns, have no tanks, have no helicopters, have no AK-47s, have no nuclear weapons. Israel have all of these things. And they are using them at an unprecedented level, and have been using them at an unprecedented level over the course of 75 years to maintain an occupation which benefits Israeli people. The squatter colony state of Israel will tell you, oh, if we give Palestinians their freedom, Israel will no longer exist. It is not that they are afraid that they will no longer exist. They are afraid that they will not be able to exist with the lifestyle they currently have at the benefit of the Palestinian people. They are stealing every single day from the Palestinian people, stolen cultivated goods, water, resources, electricity, land, olive trees, cattle. Every single day, the Palestinian people are having to live like refugees in their own land, whilst Jewish people from Europe and the Bronx come across and can claim some sort of right which apparently has been bestowed upon them for the mere fact that they are Jewish at the expense of ethnically cleansed Palestinian land. Do not let the mainstream media tell you that this is an unprovoked attack. There is only so long the Palestinian people are able to live under a brutal occupation where their days are numbered by Israeli colonists who are just genuinely waiting at checkpoints to execute them. The Palestinian people have nothing to lose. They either die under a slow, brutal occupation, or they die trying to take their freedom by force. What would you do?
Someone explained to me how y'all decided to wake up this morning and demonize Palestine for doing exactly what you praised Ukraine for doing. The irony is ironing, and I'm starting to think that you guys are maybe just racist.